Well, Tim, welcome to the next exciting instalment of Knocking Neil's Knees. Which is what we're calling these segments now.
Yep, good. All right, no problem.
Let's roll the clock back. Back. Somewhere in Europe, I think it was the Nürburgring. I'm a little Formula One pit reporter at this stage, and I bowl up to a fellow Aussie because you're trying to find people that you can talk to in the pit paddock, and it turns out here you are, I think team manager at this stage at Jordan, and we had a bit of a chat and an exchange, and I believe that the photo exists somewhere at Club Edwards.
Yeah, you're on my pantry wall, so every time I go to fill up my glass of water at the fridge, I glance up and there you are staring back at me.
People forget that a lot of the people up and down this pit lane have got an extraordinary international motor racing pedigree, and you're one of those. So here you are. I think you started out in a Ford dealership or something as a young bloke, and then you packed your bag and then off to Europe you went, and you made it to the top.
Yeah, well, did an apprenticeship at Melford Motors, early 80s, and then, bit of an odd one. I'd always been around motorsport. Dad raced motorsport, in his early years. But one of my friends was actually, he bailed off, went to Europe to work in motorsport, and he rang me up homesick one day, and I made this comment: if you hear of a job going, let me know, I might come over. And the next day he rings me back and he says, I've got a job for you, and Docko's here, wants to speak to you.
Alan Docking.
Alan Docking, yep.
Aussie
and
character.
my job interview was, I hear you coming over, old son, see you when you get here. And that was on a Thursday, and I left on Sunday. Literally, I arrived there, and 2 weeks after getting there, I was driving a truck to Le Mans in France. Never driven a truck before, had a truck licence, and next thing I'm on the Portsmouth-Le Havre ferry on my way to Le Mans working for Mazda Speed with 4 trucks, and yeah.
I'll come back to the V8 supercar conversation shortly, but just to spend a moment on Eddie Jordan, who was your boss. Now there is a colourful character to work for. What did you learn from EJ?
Well, I worked for Eddie from the beginning of '91 till the end of 2004. And look, I had opportunities to go and work for other teams, but I loved working for Eddie. I mean, just an absolute lunatic. You can't even begin to describe what a lunatic he was.
He really punched above his weight in Formula One, didn't he? I mean, he ended up being a heavyweight team, but with nothing like the kind of funding.
'99, we almost won the championship. You know, we had very small staff numbers and very small budget compared to the big teams. Yeah, we always punched above our weight.
So there's a great story there in learnings, doing a lot with a little, understanding how to bring a culture together that creates success, because that's something that he was able to do because he didn't have the biggest budget. So how did you channel that to an opportunity in Australia?
Well, and actually in 2004 I decided to get out of motorsport, which you can obviously see.
Oh, that's worked well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Formula One was ridiculous. I mean, I had 2 young boys in 2000 and 2003, Harry and Ben were born, and when you're away for 2 months at a time, you know, I wanted to be a part of my boys growing up. Trudy and myself made the decision, right, I've got to get out of Formula One, and the only way to get out of Formula One was to come home to Australia. And Ron Walker was quite good. He helped me get a job at the Commonwealth Games, and I was a special advisor there, and that was an interesting...
Hang on, what special advisor?
Yeah, I think that's
what
the job they have
know?
for when we haven't really got a job for you, so we'll call you a special advisor.
What do you know about hop, skip and jump?
Oh, well, that was, I mean, I was only there for 3.5 months before, that's another story when DR tracked me down, but during that 3.5 months I was there, I was involved in organising the Commonwealth Shooting Federation Championships, lawn bowls, things that I knew nothing about.
Let's talk about and how you became involved with what's now known as Pro Drive Racing Australia, but Pro Drive and Ford Performance Racing then.
Well, I mean, as I say, I was sitting at my desk planning the next lawn bowls competition for the Commonwealth Games, 3 months at that stage into my time there, and I had a phone call from Dave Richards, and the conversation was pretty short but to the point. I'm in town, Tim, we need to have breakfast. So I had that breakfast meeting, and he said, you've got to run this business for me. And so I spent probably the next 3 or 4 weeks walking around the factory, you know, understanding the business, trying to decide whether I wanted to get back in or not, understanding the category a bit more. I mean, obviously I'd kept tabs on V8s while I was away, but had never worked in it. And then, yeah, after probably 3 or 4 weeks, either he finally convinced me or I finally decided it was the right thing to do. And so back into motorsport I went.
So let's fast forward. Now you're the successful team boss of Pro Drive Racing Australia, and you're off to a rocket start, championship year. There's been a bit of background chatter over the years about the highs and lows of trying to maintain a consistent campaign. Do you reckon that this could be the one?
I mean, every year I have to believe this is the one, but unfortunately for the last 7 or so years, the bloke next door has pipped us at the post. I mean, they've done an outstanding job. You can't take away from what them as a team and Jamie as a driver have done.
It's funny you talk about the bloke next door, because I've seen you take shots at each other, and really that's just noise, because that's what you do when you compete. But I've seen a couple of warm moments as well, and I happened to be just standing near both of you in Western Australia when Roland came up and said a genuine well done, and then I bumped you earlier in the weekend here and you were having a bit of a chat. It just seems as though there is a high level of respect between you, but then I had to giggle. I think it was in fact in today's papers where all of a sudden you're at war, are you?
Well, you could take it as at war. I mean, we are at war. It is a constant battlefield out there, but you have to respect the people you're competing against. The reality is in this category, there's 25 blokes, there's 25 crews, all doing a fantastic job. You can't have a category this close and not respect everybody else in the field. And I have to respect Roland. I'd like to think he has some respect for me as well. Can we keep beating him? I hope we can, and that's certainly our intention. And if you want to call that war, then so be it. But when we go out, whilst we're not racing, yeah, we can be quite cordial to each other. When we're racing, we are at war.
I would love to continue this conversation. I'm sadly out of time, but congratulations on the success so far in 15 and keep it rolling.
Thanks, Neil.